rescue volunteers from 12 organizations have proposed to the government to develop an app that would serve as a central digital command center for rescue workers, ensuring prompt assistance to disaster victims. This request was made during the event Joining Forces, Joining Hearts on Friday, presided over by Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra at the Sandy Matri building in Government House. Participants included Defense Minister Phumtham Wechiochai, relevant ministers, as well as representatives from rescue volunteer groups and the private sector. The Prime Minister thanked all agencies and individuals for their cooperation in assisting flood victims following the devastating floods in Chiang Rai. During the event, the Prime Minister sought suggestions on how the government could improve its work, support rescue efforts, and further alleviate the people's hardships. The Rescue Disaster Accident Team, RDAT, from the Siam Nanthaburi Foundation said the crisis revealed the lack of a nationwide online reporting system for rescue workers. They proposed that an app be developed to connect all relevant agencies with the government, acting as a central digital command center to speed up rescue operations. A local rescue team in Mae Sai district reported that although they put all their efforts into their missions, only 40% of rescues were carried out in time due to a lack of equipment. Kasadit Teraprateep, world jet ski champion and representative of the Jet Ski Association of Thailand, proposed a long-term solution to prevent flooding in the Mae Sai district of Chiang Rai. He suggested building a 2-kilometer flood barrier along the Mae Sai River using poles to construct a road along the riverbank, which could be done quickly and at low cost. Volunteer groups also reported a persistent shortage of public utilities, care for bedridden patients in affected homes, and equipment in evacuation centers. The Fetkasem Foundation urged the government to exempt all income earned by charitable organizations from tax and to support volunteers injured while on duty. The foundation also asked the government to resolve road traffic issues that delay volunteers from reaching people in need, suggesting that the authorities designate a special lane for rescue vehicles. It is now apparent which party, between the Palang Pracharath Party, PPRP, and the United Thai Nation, UTN, party, was more dispensable in the eyes of few Thai. Thamanat, breaking ties with Prawit. Although the two parties were seen as tributaries of the same river, their origins were starkly different, which explains their dispensability. The new cabinet has taken the unusual step of incorporating just half of a party into the government. The party in question is the beleaguered and fractured PPRP. Once the most powerful party under Prawit Chan-o-cha's administrations, the PPRP shrank to a medium-sized party with 40 MPs after last year's general election. During the formation of the Paetongtarn cabinet, the PPRP experienced its worst internal rift, culminating in the split of a 20 MP faction led by former Party Secretary-General Captain Thamanat Prompow. Captain Thamanat declared that he had severed ties with a person he deeply respected, referring to PPRP leader Gen Prawit Wongsuwon. It is widely believed that the split occurred when Gen Prawit's faction reportedly sent its choice of PPRP ministerial candidates to Pheu Thai without consulting Captain Thamanat first. The Thamanat-led group was offered 3 cabinet seats. However, curiously, the quota also covered the agriculture portfolio, now held by Nariman Pinosinwat, leader of the KLA Dharma Party and a former PPRP politician, according to an observer. Captain Thamanat, with a controversial background due to his criminal conviction in Australia for a drug offence in the 1990s, passed the agriculture post to Ms. Nariman, who has been closely linked to him since the early days of the PPRP. At the same time, the Prawit faction was driven out of the government. The party leader reportedly stated that he and the Thamanat faction would remain together in the PPRP despite their differences. The Thamanat camp will not be free to defect to another party with their MP status intact unless they are expelled from the party. Captain Thamanat and his faction have several party options to defect to if they are expelled from the PPRP. One could be the KLA Dharma Party, and the other is Pheu Thai, a party to which Captain Thamanat was formerly affiliated. It would be a warm homecoming for Captain Thamanat and his bloc if he eventually decided to rejoin Pheu Thai after years with the PPRP, said an observer. Meanwhile, the position of the Prawit faction, which has reluctantly ended up in the opposition, contrasts sharply with that of the UTN party, which remains in the coalition. The Observer said some people are curious to know how the UTN managed to stay in two consecutive few Thai-led governments, the Sretha Thavisin and Paetongtarn administrations. This is despite the fact that both conservative parties trace their roots back to the Prayut Chan-o-cha governments, which Pheu Thai strongly criticizes. The UTN, founded by Gen Prayut in the latter half of his last four-year tenure as premier in 2021, broke away from the PPRP following a foiled plot, allegedly orchestrated by Captain Thamanat, to overthrow Gen Prayut as prime minister during a no-confidence debate in 2021. Some PPRP members were also displeased with Gen Prayut, accusing him of being distant and failing to engage with those in the then-ruling party. The PPRP and Gen Prayut drifted so far apart that reconciliation was impossible. Gen Prayut proceeded to register the UTN, which attracted several PPRP members. Although critics generally branded the two parties as fruits of the same poisonous tree, a reference to the National Council for Peace and Order, NCPO, headed by Gen Prayut, which toppled the Pheu Thai-led government in 2014, former Premier Thaksin Shinawatra, seen as the de facto leader of Pheu Thai, is known to harbor animosity towards Gen Prawit and his faction. Thaksin's negative feelings stem from Gen Prawit's refusal to curb his ambition to become prime minister. His perceived desire to assume the top post at an opportune time was seen as a constant threat to Pheu Thai. An observer said Thaksin likely felt that the Prawit faction went too far with what he believed was a clandestine move by Gen Prawit to oust Mr. Sretha as prime minister. The accusation was that Gen Prawit worked behind the scenes to have 40 former senators petition the Constitutional Court to demand Mr. Sretha's removal for appointing ex-convict Pikit Chunban to the cabinet. The court found Mr. Sretha guilty of breaching ethics and dismissed him. Gen Prawit's supporters, however, denied the accusation, maintaining that the former senators, although handpicked by the NCPO, had no links to Gen Prawit. He, along with Gen Prayut and former Interior Minister Gen Anyapong Payojinda, were the three poor generals who played a pivotal role in the 2014 coup. The Observer said rumors circulated while Pheu Thai was considering a replacement for Mr. Sretha, claiming that Gen Prawit was maneuvering to enlist support from some coalition parties and the main opposition Move Forward party to become prime minister. The alleged plan did not succeed. However, it may have made Thaksin even more suspicious of Gen Prawit. On the other hand, UTN leader Parapan Sarath has not shown, at least publicly, any desire to become prime minister. The UTN's ties to Gen Prayut are also no longer a concern for Pheu Thai now that he has been appointed a privy councillor, a position that demands complete independence from politics. Civil society groups hope the marriage equality bill will be published in the Royal Gazette by October 2, with enforcement starting in January next year. Watto and Chumaporn, founder of Bangkok Pride, said on Friday that the bill passed the Senate on June 18 this year, and former Prime Minister Sretha Thavisin had already submitted it for His Majesty the King's endorsement on July 4. A bill must receive royal endorsement and be announced in the Royal Gazette within 90 days, so the activist hopes it will be announced by October 2. After the announcement, the law will be enacted in about 120 days, which is early January next year, she said. Ms. Watto explained that if the bill does not receive royal endorsement within the timeframe, which would be a rare case, it will be sent back to Parliament. Two-thirds of the Parliament members will need to reprove it so the Prime Minister can submit it for royal endorsement again. She added that if the bill does not receive royal endorsement within 30 days, the government will have the full right to announce the enforcement of the law, according to Section 146 of the Charter. In this case, the bill would take effect after January 30, 2025. We really hope the law will be in effect soon, she said. Ms. Watto was speaking at the event From Being Ready to Get Married to the Day We Equally Get Married at the Bangkok Arts and Cultural Center. Vidit Monderborn, UN Special Rapporteur on the Situation of Human Rights in Cambodia, said that when the law is enforced, Thailand will join Taiwan and Nepal as the only Asian nations with a law ensuring the legal marriage status of same-sex couples. The marriage equality bill will be one of the most gender-inclusive laws as it will amend around 60 to 70 sections in the civil and commercial codes, he said. Mr. Vidit is also the first UN independent expert on protection against violence and discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. He added that about 50 other laws, such as the Surrogacy Bill, Gender Recognition Bill, employment-related bills, and welfare-related bills, need to be amended to ensure equal and inclusive legal protections for LGBTQ+ communities in Thailand. These laws are crucial as they include the rights that LGBTQ+ individuals deserve as human beings. At the same time, many of these current bills are sexist and marginalize LGBTQ+ people, he said. He also pointed out that other sectors, such as the business sector, can contribute significantly to a gender-inclusive society without waiting for a law to be enacted. Many businesses are starting to show their support through workplace policies and benefits for LGBTQ+ employees and customers, he said. An anti-discrimination mentality is highly valuable for creating an inclusive society, he added. Khao Kiao Open Zoo has responded after a foreign TikToker accused the zoo of imprisoning pygmy hippo Mudang, insisting that it operates in accordance with international standards. Zoo director Narongwat Chadchoi emphasized on Friday that his zoo has 4 main missions: conserving animal species, conducting valuable research, providing education, and offering a relaxing experience for its guests. As part of its mission to conserve animals, Khao Kiao Open Zoo, where the famous pygmy hippopotamus Mudang is kept, breeds wild animals and returns them to their natural habitat. The zoo has recently released Sarus cranes, banteng, and black-necked storks back into the wild. The development came after a TikTok video titled "The Dark Truth Behind Mudang's Viral Fame" went viral. The video criticized Khao Kiao Open Zoo's keeping of young animals like Mudang, claiming that it caused them to lose their instincts, including their ability to swim or hunt. The little pygmy hippo was also featured in a recent X post by Jurassic World, a popular dinosaur film franchise. The post includes a picture of Mudang, which was edited to make it look like he is standing among dinosaurs. The post's caption read, "Mudang, what are you doing here?" The craze for Mudang has reportedly attracted more visitors to Khao Kiao Open Zoo, with the number of people rising from 800 to as many as 4,000 a day.